Welcome to another Movies Outpost recap. Today we're diving into the futuristic world of Predator, Badlands. This movie is a total game changer for the franchise, so make sure to stay watching till the end and as always enjoy the recap. Predator Badlands begins by taking us back to Yautja Prime, where Quay helps his brother Dek train for his upcoming hunt. He teaches him deep in the caves, where he later knocks him deeper into the caves, but the fall doesn't kill him as he hangs on a branch. Later, Quay lets Dek know that by not killing him he lost his fang, a serious cost, but Dek is just happy his brother saved his life. Meanwhile, back at the clan grounds, Quay guides Dek to take a vow, stating their ancestors started it before him. The rules are brutal and final. To earn a place in their clan he must choose his prey, bring it home, or never return. Knowing that their father sees him as weak, Dek resolves to hunt and kill the Kalisk, an unkillable predator on the death planet Jenna, where failure means death. He takes the vow, determined to prove to his father that he is strong, and he knows he must kill the strongest. But things are about to get even crazier when their father, Nor, arrives and reveals that he ordered Quay to kill Dek due to his weakness. He claims that Dek is their clan's weakness and that weakness must be culled. Things are about to get intense. Quay tries to tell him he will go eliminate the Kalisk, but their father laughs it off, saying he is nothing but a runt. Nor restrains Dek, expecting Quay to carry out the execution. He draws his sword as Dek screams for him not to kill him. Quay tells Dek to be strong, and Dek finally accepts his fate, closing his eyes and waiting for his brother to strike. But in a shocking turn of events, Quay defies their father. Quay locks Dek in his ship, prompting Nor to attack him. Father and son clash in a brutal fight as Dek watches helplessly. Nor, visibly more skilled than Quay, executes a precise move, and when Quay tries to attack, Nor severs his arm and knocks him down. Crawling in defeat, Quay hears Nor declare that to forgive weakness is to show weakness. Dek is forced to watch as Nor drives his sword through Quay's back while Dek screams for him to pick up his sword, a clear defeat. Just before Nor chops his head off, Quay's last act is remotely triggering the ship, sending Dek to Jenna. Fast forward to Dek being knocked out by the launch. When he comes to, he is hurtling toward Jenna, the ship taking damage from rocky debris in orbit. Things are about to get intense. Dek is forced to eject, landing deep in the jungle. While taking stock of his weapons, Dek is attacked by vine-like creatures. They strike from behind, strip him of most of his weapons, and attempt to kill him. There are too many, but Dek kills most of them, barely surviving. Dek escapes, carrying only his plasma sword and throwable weapons stored in his gauntlet. Sometime later, Dek moves through Jenna in an attempt to find the Kalisk. The path is littered with skeletons, but the curious Dek keeps going. He comes across a field of spike pods surrounding a nest. Meanwhile, back at the nest, a young woman is trapped inside. From where she was, she could see Dek walking like a confused person, so she warned him that the pods are capable of knocking him out, leaving him vulnerable for the Jenna vulture to eat. Dek insists that he hunts alone and doesn't seem to want her help. But then it happens, one of the pods fires a spike, hitting Dek and incapacitating him. The woman tells him she can help if he has a weapon. Just before losing consciousness, Dek releases a small bladed weapon, sending it to her. She uses it to kill the vulture and administers the antidote to Dek. Things go dark as Dek blacks out, but the woman stays on his side the whole time. On waking up, Dek realizes the woman has no legs. She introduces herself as Thea, a Weyland-Yutani Corporation synthetic. She had been torn in half by the Kalisk and offered to help Dek find the creature in exchange for help finding her legs. Dek is initially reluctant due to the Yautja creed of hunting alone, but realizing that she is a machine allows him to consider Thea as a tool which would not break the code. Fast forward to the pair traveling across Jenna with Thea strapped to Dek's back. On the way, Thea keeps asking a lot of questions about him, but Dek doesn't seem interested, like what speed his ship was going before he crashed, or if it was faster than sublight speed, since humans have not achieved that yet. She keeps joking with him on the way, but he still doesn't seem interested. Meanwhile, Dek finally asks her how long she had been on Jenna, and Thea tells him she arrived there 2 years ago and was in the nest for a good 13 days, but always knew someone was going to save her, just that she wasn't expecting it to be him. She explains that she was exploring Jenna when the Kalisk attacked and separated her from Tessa, whom she believes is not dead. The scene then shifts to a laboratory where a woman with a fully scratched face and one eye is receiving certain programming. That woman is Tessa, who wakes up asking for Thea and is told that the Yautja has her. Eventually, Dek announces that he needs to eat and intends to kill a bone bison but cannot hunt it due to it being in the middle of a razor grass field. Another small creature capable of withstanding the razor grass competes with them for the bone bison. Dek attempts to hunt the creature using the trees, but he draws the attention of a lunabug. He succeeds in bisecting the bone bison, but is attacked by the lunabug, who then chases him and the small creature toward the razor grass. Dek manages to bring down a tree into the razor grass, allowing him to kill the lunabug and rescue the small creature. With the threat gone, the rescued creature scurries back into the jungle, leaving behind a trail of destruction from the fight. On the other side of the jungle, following signs of recent combat, Tessa begins tracking the Yautja, eventually finding their ship and looting the advanced weaponry, with her team equipping themselves with powerful guns before spreading out to search the area. Elsewhere, Thea is thrilled by the earlier hunt, calling them the dynamic trio and thanking them both for giving her that experience. Dek shares that his favorite part of the hunt was when he pierced the bone bison's head with his sword and its blood rushed down his face. He offers some meat to her, but she reveals that she doesn't take flesh and says he should give it to their new little friend instead. Dek is hesitant but finally shares it. The small creature, dubbed Bud by Thea, marks Dek with its spit, claiming him as a member of her clan after he shares the bone bison kill. Bud, Dek and Thea talk, revealing parts of their past to each other. Thea is also searching for Tessa, another synth she works closely with. Dek tells Thea about Quay and their father. At night, Bud keeps mocking Dek by repeating whatever he is doing. If he makes any move, Bud does the same. It's a funny scenario, but Dek doesn't seem to care or mind. At sunrise, Dek continues his hunt, intentionally leaving Bud behind while she sleeps. They arrive at a waterfall where he finds a horn, making him believe the Kalisk drink there. Thea is visibly angry at Dek for leaving Bud behind after she spat on him, marking him as her family. She also asks him why his father killed his big brother Quay. Dek reveals he was protecting him but is eager to prove to his clan that he is not weak. Thea takes this opportunity to advise him that wolves are predators that hunt in packs. They are very loyal creatures, led by a leader known as the Alpha. While the Alpha is the most dominant member, his role is not to kill the most, but rather to protect the pack. However, Dek refuses to listen, arguing that in the long run the Alpha is the one who will do most of the killing. Arriving at the site of the Kalisk attack on the Weyland-Yutani forces, Thea finds her legs and begins the process of reattaching them. Once it's complete, she tells Dek that she is thankful and will not forget this. Dek responds that he will honor Quay when he brings the Kalisk home, meaning he will have taken revenge, and he also promises Thea that she will be the first to see his trophy. As she does, Thea hesitates, then apologizes to Dek and reveals that she contacted Tessa earlier. Thea explains that their team initially brought them here to capture the Kalisk, but all along, she just wanted Dek to help her recover her legs. She admits she didn't realize Weyland-Yutani was already tracking the Kalisk's location. Dek is furious, realizing his tool turned on him and used him instead of the other way around. Before Thea can say more, the ground begins to tremble as the Kalisk emerges nearby, drawn by the disturbance. Thea tells Dek to leave while he still can, but Dek refuses, realizing this is his only chance to prove himself and complete the hunt. Dek challenges the Kalisk and begins to fight it. With Thea's help, he manages to climb on its back and chop off its head. However, Dek soon discovers why the Kalisk is considered unkillable. It has incredible regenerative powers, and even decapitation does not kill it. While at the Kalisk's mercy, the creature sniffs Dek, detecting Bud spit on him. Moments later, Tessa and the Weyland-Yutani forces arrive, using a Yautja freeze grenade to immobilize and capture both Dek and the Kalisk. En route to the Weyland-Yutani base, Dek is studied by Tessa, who intends to experiment on him. Dek tries to tell Tessa to release him, but she ignores him and keeps asking why his brother protected him. Soon, Tessa mobilizes Thea, who is very happy to see her. With a bright expression, she tells Tessa that she went through a lot of creatures and cannot wait to share what she's learned. Dek keeps shouting at Thea, accusing her of betrayal. Tessa doesn't flinch, congratulating Thea and saying humanity will thank them not only for catching the Kalisk, but also for the additional catch she brought along, before calmly resuming her experiments, pushing Dek closer to his breaking point. Later, Thea steps forward to reason with Tessa, pointing out that Dek is a runt and not a prime example of the Yautja. Tessa fires back, recalling how she almost lost everything trying to protect Thea when they first faced the Kalisk. She warns that showing weakness, as Dek's brother did, can be fatal. Tessa decides that Thea's emotions have become a liability and should be decommissioned. She commands her crew to force Dek to explain his weapons. Just when the tension hits its peak, Thea makes her move, helping Dek escape. With alarms blaring and the facility thrown into chaos, Dek stumbles through the jungle, haunted by flashbacks of how his father killed Quay and all the other horrors he has faced, each memory fueling a growing anger inside him. Anger sharpens his focus as he tends to his wounds, moving carefully while collecting razor grass, knowing the jungle itself can become a weapon if he uses it wisely. Soon he reunites with Bud, realizing she is a young Kalisk and that her mother was the very creature he fought before. His experiences on Jenna with Thea have changed him. He is faster, sharper, and more determined. He resolves to rescue both Thea and the Kalisk, knowing he must rely on ingenuity since he has no conventional weapons. Using the resources around him, Dek crafts deadly tools from Jenna itself. Razor grass becomes a deadly whip and sharp teeth are used as wrist gauntlets. Armoring himself with the skin of the bone bison, Dek befriends a squirt, a small creature that can spit acid, alongside Bud. Dek frees Thea's severed legs and follows them to the Weyland-Yutani base, where Thea is seen locked inside a glass enclosure. The pair stalk through the base like hunters, tearing through synths with deadly precision. Each strike is calculated yet brutal, making the battle seem effortless. Dek's movements are now fluid and confident, blending brute force with clever improvisation, showing how survival and rage have transformed him into a predator. This is a new Dek, shaped by loss, vengeance, and experience, and nothing will stop him from saving Thea. Thea's legs reach the glass cage and open it. Having just choked a guard's neck. But just as Thea is about to get out, another member of the crew spots the guard lying there. Thinking quickly, Thea pretends to be dead, her separate legs hidden while the crew looks confused. In a sudden strike, Thea and her detached legs attack the crew, moving with deadly precision, eventually killing them all. Dek soon meets up with Thea, who is shocked to see that he came to rescue her. He tells her they need to leave immediately, as more enemies are approaching. Just before they can move, Dek explains that the Kalisk is Bud's mother and tells Thea to go free her, since he still has a trophy to collect. At that moment, Dek sets off the alarm, alerting Tessa and her crew, who now come to hunt him. Dek takes them on, using the spike pods to devastating effect, luring the crew into their range and cutting them down one by one. Meanwhile, Thea and Bud move to rescue the Kalisk, leaving Dek to face Tessa herself, who is piloting a massive cargo loader. Tessa emerges from the shadows and immediately begins to fight him. She is wearing a massive robotic suit that equips her with a wide range of powerful weapons. The battle is intense and proves to be a very difficult challenge. In the meantime, Thea and Bud reach the location where the Kalisk is locked. To get inside, she warns Bud to stay behind and keep watch, explaining that if a creature like him is seen, it could blow the entire mission. Bud doesn't listen, sticking close as they move. As Thea reaches the area, she is approached by a suspicious member of Tessa's team. Soon after, he spots Bud, the creature, following her and cocks his gun ready to shoot. Just before he can fire, Thea smashes his head against the wall, knocking him out. All this while, Dek is still being hunted relentlessly by Tessa. As Thea succeeds in releasing the Kalisk, the chaos draws Tessa and Dek into the same space. With Dek's help, the released Kalisk turns on Tessa, attacking her ferociously. Thea rushes in and helps Dek to his feet as the Kalisk is finally reunited with her child, who lets out a victorious roar, silently thanking Dek, but the fight isn't over. Tessa, still alive inside the Kalisk, triggers a freeze grenade, killing the creature from within. Enraged, she emerges, aiming her gun at Thea's head, betrayal burning in her eyes. Calmly, Thea reminds her that they are not sisters, successfully breaking her concentration. In that split second, Dek strikes from behind and delivers a fatal blow to Tessa, but then finishes her off by decapitating her. Back on Yautja Prime, Dek storms in, presenting Tessa's head as his trophy and demanding his father Nor's cloak as a reward for a successful hunt. Nor scoffs at him, refusing his request, and orders two of his best warriors to finish Dek. But Dek, sharpened by everything he faced on Jenna, fights with deadly precision and kills them both without hesitation. Nor steps in himself, and the duel that follows is brutal, a clash of skill and strength between father and son. Both are highly trained, and every strike carries the weight of their rivalry. Dek lands a dagger in Nor's foot, enraging his father, who attacks with renewed ferocity. The fight escalates, but Dek adapts quickly, countering Nor's moves and finally chopping off his arm. Despite Nor's use of his cloak in the fight, Dek emerges victorious, having bested the one who once ruled him with fear. With Nor disarmed and restrained, he offers Dek a choice: take his rightful place in the clan if he spares him. Dek refuses, his resolve unshakable, stating that he already has a clan. At that moment, Thea and Bud emerge from the ship. Bud, now significantly grown and formidable, delivers the final strike, killing Nor by biting off his head. Dek watches as his father's reign ends, surrounded by the companions who became his true family. A clan forged through survival, loyalty, and vengeance. The movie ends with Dek realizing his mother has arrived. Is this a rescue or a new threat? We'll have to wait for the sequel to find out. See you on the next one, and as always, stay awesome and take care.